And welcome to the ThroBak Guitar Lounge Podcast, the first ever international ThroBak Guitar Lounge Podcast. I'm coming to you from the wilds of Canada. John is ensconced in the Guitar Lounge in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Yes, that's right.
This is the wonders of the internet and modern technology.
That looks like, is that an in-laws bedroom there in Canada? An international in-laws?
This was my wife's grandmother's bedroom. That is.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it's changed anything since 1980.
Okay.
The little time capsule.
No.
The mattress is new, but all the furniture I think is vintage 1980. Sort of a dark walnut looking.
No guitar collection on the wall though.
No guitar collection on the wall. The only one I've got is the one I brought. So I can,
okay. So you can remain sane over there.
I have a place to hang it.
Okay. Well,
guitars always have to be within reach.
That's right. The audience understands that. It's part of a balanced lifestyle. Must have a guitar within reach. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, so today we've got the ThroBak Mailbox pickups of the week, and for the pickups of the week, it's the 65th episode, and I will be playing. Oh, that's not it.
That's the wrong guitar.
That's the right guitar. I thought it was the right one.
On the wall, I think.
It's sitting where Matthew would sit, but I've got a 65 ES-330 that I will play for everybody here. I think maybe I've shown this before as a sort of a player grade vintage guitar, but since it's the 65th episode, we will play a 65 ES-330. In the ThroBak Mailbox, we also have some throwback news from about a celebrity visitor that was here yesterday. It's summer hours, well, sort of summer hours here because Matthew's gone. Todd's gone. Is he on a cruise again?
No, he's up north, I believe.
He's up north. Paul's not in. It was just me here yesterday, and a guitar player of note in a big way was here, and we'll talk about that in the throwback news after the ThroBak Mailbox, and we'll do a lightning round Guitargument. And I will be doing the Rorschach riffs today.
You can control the sound a lot better there. Yeah, it's a lot of pressure, John.
Oh my. Okay. All right.
Holding down the fort.
Should we get right to the ThroBak Mailbox?
Yeah.
Okay. You do have the mailbox items.
I've got the mailbox items here. I'll read the first one. This is comments on YouTube from episode number 64. And then just to remind people, in episode 64, we did a comparison between two, the same kind of coils in very similar Gibson Les Pauls, but with different magnets. We had long A2 in one and long A5 in the other. Two
H150 custom core guitars.
That's right. It was a custom core. Maybe I said Les Paul. It was a mistake.
Yeah, well, there's an argument to be made that they're of the same, I don't know, how do you say it diplomatically, family? They're definitely share the same lineage.
Cousins,
for sure. Yeah. Very close cousins. So, yes, go on with your mailbox items.
So one of the comments was from a viewer saying, please keep doing these comparisons. I love the sweet, softer long A2, while the long A5 was ruder and stung like a bee. Brilliant demonstration.
Oh, cool. So. Good. I'm glad it comes across. I mean, it does definitely come across when you're playing them. It's always a question as to does that translate through a recording, But I think it does. This confirmed that it does. Yeah. And we will have more. We could theoretically have 36 of these. So, there will be more for sure.
And then another viewer said, I really enjoyed the detailed breakdown of the guitars and the pickups. Those reference points are pretty important in the A/B test. Thanks for the details. And then a question, they said, do you use the same type of cover for Telecaster neck pickups that you do for PAFs?
Yeah, I did see that one. I did see. I have. Yeah. So I'm not exactly sure what the question means, but I think I know what it means. For PAF reproduction covers, a PAF is going to be nickel-plated nickel silver. So the base material is nickel silver, and the plating is nickel without copper. That's how we do them. That's the vintage spec, and that's how we have our custom PAF pickup covers stamped. For the Telecaster pickups, those are chrome plated, but a vintage one is going to be brass, we use brass and nickel silver that's chrome plated. And if you don't tell us brass, we're going to put nickel silver on them. And I know other makers that do this, chrome plated nickel silver, because it makes for a much clearer Telecaster neck pickup. It balances better with the bridge. So maybe that's what that question was focused on. What is the base material? And so nickel silver is what we use. We do have brass covers also that are chrome plated, but chrome plated nickel silver, it just sounds so much, it sounds better. If you did an A/B comparison with anybody, you would definitely notice the difference. Now, some people do prefer the brass, but you're going to get a neck pickup that balances better with the bridge with chrome-plated nickel silver, in my opinion, and the opinion of other makers also. So we have to special order those, but yes, there's a tonal advantage to the nickel silver for both PAF and a Telecaster neck pickup. And part of it is, it really comes down to balance, because you could have a brass cover and EQ your amp to sound like a nickel-plated silver Telecaster cover. But then the contrast between that EQ that you have for your brass cover, and then you switch it to your bridge, and now makes your bridge pickup much harsher. Because so it's like the nickel silver balances that EQ difference out. So that's a reasoning for using that. And, players and, not only me, but many players and other pickup makers are of the same opinion. So, okay. Is there another question?
This is more of a technical question, so slightly off topic a little bit, but there's a person's asking, what type of magnets would have been in a PAF from the original Les Paul custom reissue of 1968-69?
Okay.
Do you know?
68, 69. So a Les Paul, they would almost certainly be short A2. They're going to be short magnets.
Okay.
They could be short A5 or A5, but from the patent sticker T-tops and the pre-T-tops that come right before T-tops, short A2 is super common. The kind of lore and accepted wisdom is that if it's a short magnet, it's short A5. We already know now that for a fact that is not the case, and very often earlier on, short magnets are in fact short A2. And there's actual evidence beyond just sort of the anecdotal evidence I have from repairing them, but there's also documented evidence of this from magnet makers of that era and earlier. So the very first short magnets are likely short A2 also. So if I were to get a question from somebody and wanting to know, I want a set of pickups that's similar to what would be in a 68 Les Paul Custom, I would say choose short A2.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then this is really a comment by a viewer, but it said, I think this is the longest podcast at 1 hour, 35 minutes that I've ever watched. Great job, guys. The guitar and me enjoyed it.
I think we've had them as long as like an hour and 40 minutes, haven't we?
I thought this was, was episode 64 was, to me, I thought it was, but maybe I'm wrong. So I thought it was one of the longest ones.
Yeah. Okay. is that do it for the mailbox here? Then I can.
That's it for the mailbox.
Okay. All right. So, I didn't actually go to the mailbox thing.
You got to do that.
Yeah. Well, it's fixed now.
Good.
Okay. So we're going to tack on some throwback news to this. So yesterday, a throwback customer for years of ours, Alan Hines, was in town, and he's touring with Men at Work with Colin Hay. And yesterday they played the Meyer Garden here in town. Meyer is the large grocery / department store chain that
it's the original. It's the original superstore.
It's the original superstore. It started here in Grand Rapids. In fact, Sam Walton.
Well, actually, Greenville. Well, yeah, right. The first superstore was at Kalamazoo.
Yeah, the first.
But they're from Greenville.
Yeah, the first mega store was on Kalamazoo and 28th Street here in Grand Rapids. And Sam Walton, years ago, before he got the idea for Walmart by visiting that store here. Is that correct? Am I correct with that story?
I believe he did a tour with.
He says that in his biography or something, doesn't he?
I think it's on record.
Yeah. So anyway, they have a very nice sort of public amphitheater in their public garden. Right. That they've a beautiful public garden they have here in Grand Rapids and
Sculpture Park. Don't forget the sculptures.
Yeah, Sculpture Park, and they have a summer concert series, and Men at Work was here, and so they Alan Hines had just enough of a break before he had to be there for the show to stop by, and I will let me. I've got proof.
That he actually came by? Let's see.
He actually came by. Where is it here? So here he is. That's Alan and I here at the studio. And he wanted to stop by, and I wanted him to stop by here because Alan for years has been a customer of ours for electric guitar pickups. The SLE 101 Plus set is his favorite set. I think this probably goes back to like 2009 or so, 2010. And I've mentioned this before. I did not recognize the name of Alan Hines other than a throwback customer and him calling and kind of asking what the best choice of pickups would be until we started getting emails and calls from people asking for the exact pickups that Alan Hines uses. And then I thought, like, wow, I need to clue into who this guy is. Anyway, so it turns out he's a big deal, Matthew.
He is.
So anyway.
No, what else does he do? He where does he teach in California?
Oh, he teaches at the what do they call it? Is it Music Institute? What is the
Music or Musicians Institute?
Musicians Institute. Yeah, he's a professor there. Has been for years. He's a musician's musician in the sense,
and he was featured on the Rick Beato podcast.
Yeah.
But Rick Beato's a big fan. Any musician of a guitar player of note is going to be they're going to know him. And they're going to likely have played with him. So anyway, he stopped by here because the SLE 101 Plus is a medium output set, and he had told us that there were some lower output PAF patent sticker pickups that he really liked, and he'd like to have that as sort of another color in his palette of tones. So I had 3 guitars here for him to try, to kind of work out the specs of a set tailored to him that would be on, instead of medium output, for which the SLE 101 Plus is, to a lower output PAF style pickup. So I got a clip of him playing one of the guitars here, and right here. What's interesting is watching him play, like real up close.
he has an incredibly light touch for picking.
I was going to anticipate that. Does he have a light touch? That's what you read about great players. They have a light touch.
This is for his right hand picking, and it was kind of shocking because he brought his Esquire on. He's got a vintage Esquire that he really loves. He brought that along, and by the way, he was running through those to compare tones of different magnets in same pickups. So I had 3 guitars with different magnets for him to just ready for him to go. But it was really noticeable because he let me take measurements off of his Esquire, and he has extremely low action on his Esquire. It was 1 millimeter, and he actually said that he raised it a little bit recently, but he's not getting any string buzz because he has such precision with his right hand. Mm-hmm. And I played it, and I was getting lots of string buzz. And I feel as a player who's, played for many, many years that that a few years ago, I thought like, oh, I've really got this sort of like heavy-handed right hand pick attack thing. I've tamed that. And I felt that was kind of like, but wow, seriously, a really advanced player automatically has another level of control over that. At least he does. Mm-hmm. That was really noticeable, and it affects the tone way more than I would have suspected. Because when I played the same guitar, it was much brighter than when he was playing it. His Esquire. Anyway, and he was a really nice guy, really generous to bring his guitar by, and let me take readings off the pickups and play it so that for reference, in case he wants a pickup similar to the pickup in his 53 Esquire. Actually, I think it's 52 Esquire. I've got some reference for that sort of personally, and also the technical info I could get off the guitar. So anyway, he stopped by, and it was great to meet. I met him once at NAMM years ago, just briefly, but it's a whole different thing to have someone come by and hang out with you for an hour. And it was really, he was a really pleasant guy to hang around with, and 2, it was really useful to get his feedback with what I've been working on for him. So, and what was really encouraging too is he liked all variations of them. So I'm going to make some pickups to send to him with those variations, and then he can try them with his gear and his guitars and make a decision about that. So hopefully sometime soon we'll have something that's a lower output set that is Alan Hines approved. So for years, the SLE 101 Plus, and he still loves the SLE 101 Plus, but like every guitar player, they like to have a range of choices and tones. And the lower output in a PAF style pickup, he's like recognizes, one of those different colors that he could use. So do you feel gypped, Matthew, that you were up in Canada and missed this out on this?
I do. I would have liked to have been there. It sounds like an interesting visitor. Celebrity guitar. What I wanted to call it, celebrity guitar shop tour.
Yes, I showed him around too. He had, a little more than an hour, and I showed him around. And it, so many guitar players, amateur and professional, the guitar geek quotient is very high, and he's one of them. He likes to do all the work on his own guitars, and he found it all very cool. And we've had other guitar players like Rob McDonnell's been by here when he was coming through with Bob Seeger, mm-hmm. and other touring musicians, Nashville touring musicians. We even had a mixing engineer from Nashville come through here. It was from Nashville. He came through, wanted to come by to get an overdrive boost because he was familiar with ThroBak through that pedal.
Okay.
That more than one Nashville guys uses as kind of another tool in the toolkit of pedals. So anyway, it's always nice to have kind of musicians of that level stop by, and then it's an interesting experience to see them see someone like Alan Hines up close playing and kind of going through what he needs to play in order to kind of judge tone.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure everybody does that. That's a guitar player when they're trying out a guitar at Guitar Center, wherever. There's certain things you're looking for as far as playability with the guitar, but as far as the pickups and with tone, it was very interesting to see someone of that caliber, up close evaluating that.
I've always found if you can get, to a show and you can get close enough, so it doesn't have to be like a big sort of rock concert, but these club shows and things are good. Just watching a very accomplished player, you can pick stuff up.
Oh yeah.
And it kind of answers questions. Oh, you figure if you're, the more educated you are, the more experienced you are, you realize, okay, they're doing this. That's how they do it. You pick little things up without just watching.
Yeah. Alan had mentioned that he's actually, Colin Hayes is letting him play slide too. Alan is a very good slide player, plays a lot of slide. In fact, I think he's got an album dedicated to slide playing. And I think he's playing slide on a guitar with that low of action. That's how good. That's how much command that he has over the instrument, that he can play slide with a very low action. It's very impressive. It's kind of inspiring too to see someone up close like that. I'm sure that's what you meant by seeing someone in person up close, that you can get something from it. That was, anyway, super nice guy. I already knew that though, because I've talked to him on the phone, but and through emails, but kind of getting to spend time with somebody with the common interest of guitar. It's fun, So, all right, that is my throwback. That is the ThroBak news. Mm-hmm. Can you think of any questions to go along with that, Matthew?
Now, what's his commitment to Men at Work? Will he be with him just through this summer tour, or is he's going to see where it's going to go?
Yeah, he didn't mention anything about that. He did mention, I don't know, this is a funny kind of tidbit. He said that the bus driver was Joe Rogan's first cousin.
Really?
the tour bus's driver, yeah. I don't know, I just thought that was funny.
And did you ask? Well, that is kind of funny. Did they have?
He said it really is. It's like his last name's Rogan. And anyway.
Oh, really? Did he talk at all, or did you ask questions about what he's using in this tour, his rig or other guitars?
He said he was using 2 rock amps, and he didn't mention the other guy. I think he's got an exotic Strat he's using also, and this Esquire.
Okay,
his 52 Esquire. And the 52 Esquire is a very interesting guitar in that it's very, very well worn, but it plays beautifully, of course. And but again, I don't own any vintage Telecasters or Strats. I kind of think I missed the window on that. I know I missed the window on that, but but it's interesting to see like a really, 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 really truly relict neck, and then a Fender Custom Shop relic neck. They're not the same. Fender does a very good job with their custom shop stuff, but
how chunky was how chunky was the neck on that Esquire?
It didn't, it was not super chunky. I mean, in the sense like you didn't think like, oh, this thing is unmanageable. You thought like, oh, this is super comfortable.
With a soft V or no?
It was not a very pronounced V, soft V, but it was not like you didn't like pick it up and think like, oh, this thing has like a hump down the spine of it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you already say what year it was from? I can't remember.
I believe it's 52. So either 52 or 53. I'm pretty sure it's 52. Yeah. So it's very early, and it has a bridge pickup that it would be a lower resistance, on the lower end of the resistance for a broadcaster style pickup, which gives it a very unique tone, I think. So I'm going to experiment with that, just, kind of from my own, inform myself, just because I now have the experience of playing his guitar, and then maybe send him some test pickups, see what he thinks of those. But I was surprised how much brighter it was. Now, part of it was initially when I started playing it, since it's an Esquire, the first position for it has no tone cap. It's just volume pot, I believe.
All right. Yeah.
So it's a very sort of in your face tone because there's no tone, but the middle position has a tone pot. It was wired so you could roll the tone in and out. So, but it was still very bright guitar, but under his command, sweet sounding, and under me jangle, sharp jangly tones.
Had he modified the third position, or is it that funny kind of bass tone that the originals were?
No, I don't know. I don't think it was original wiring. Well, I'm not super familiar with the Esquire wiring. My understanding is the bridge, no tone cap, middle has tone cap, and then the neck just this sort of bass sound only. Is that right?
Well, I know in the Telecaster,
the third position.
Yeah, I don't know in the Esquire, because in the Telecaster, in the third position, it was that neck pickup but it was kind of a unusable kind of position. It all sounded kind of muffled and bassy.
I think it's sort of some mix of vintage and so basically the bridge pick was no tone pot, and then the middle was you could roll the tone in and out, and the neck pick, or the third position, it sounded like the bridge pickup again. So I think the wiring's been monkeyed with a little bit in terms of just to make it more usable. Also, he did have a dummy coil put in it, so it wasn't. He thought it had very little impact on the sound of it, but to make it noiseless, he had it retrofitted with a dummy coil. So, but that was one difference. Mm-hmm. But as far as he didn't feel it affected the sound of that much, though. So, anyway, should we go on to the pickups of the week, Matthew?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Okay, so the pickups of the week. I'll get my little clicker working there to highlight the pickups of the week. The pickups of the week are 65 ES-330. And should I just get it right now? I think it's on the wall here. Excuse me. I think I can just do a drum roll and get it. Okay. All right, there it is. Right there.
Very nice.
I bought this from Sweetwater.
Oh, that's right.
But
it's the Sweetwater one.
It's not Sweetwater. It's eBay. What do they call it? They don't call it Eddie's. What do they call it on eBay?
Is it
their used stuff? Is it Eddie's Guitars? No, it's not.
Is it Greg's or something?
Craig's Guitars.
Greg's, or what is it called? It's
something
called
like that. Yeah, and if you ever figure it out, you're like, oh, wait a minute. These are sort of like damaged guitar. They'll put damaged guitars. They'll put used stuff that I guess, I don't know what. I guess they must be used things that they've gotten in on trade at their store. Maybe
I think some of it's that, But don't they also do a consignment or used where it's sort of like a reverb, but they do it through Sweetwater?
Yeah, they have this gear exchange thing now.
Gear exchange, that's what I was thinking.
I got this before they started doing gear exchange.
Okay.
I think so. Right. I think I got this during COVID, and kind of the tail end of it. And there was this, and it was a decent price. It was not screamingly good deal, but it was a good deal. And it's a 65, but it has all the nickel parts. I think I've shown this before for player grade vintage. It has nickel rather than chrome covers. The neck, the nut width is the narrower nut, although I think it's ever so slightly not as narrow as like a 67 might be. So this has a mix of 64 specs with the nickel, and then 65 with the narrower nut. When I got this, it also had this is a vintage pickguard that I found on the eBay after much sort of what would you call it?
Searching.
So well, not exactly searching, but like regular checking for one. The one that came with this, it had the plastic had deteriorated to where it just was like dissolved, dissolved in this sort of jagged edge around here. So I had that kind of was the player grade aspect of it. The narrow nut makes it a little less expensive, but ES-330s of this era, of the narrow nut era, and even the wider nut, they're still pretty attainable price-wise on the vintage market. So if you're kind of interested in a vintage guitar and you like this body style and P90s, again, it's fully hollow, but this is basically an Epiphone Casino of the same era, but just the Gibson version. But the Casino, because of their association with the Beatles, fetch a higher price. It's kind of one of these exceptions where the Epiphone outdoes the Gibson version in vintage land. This is the Epiphone Casino versus the ES-330. I'll give you the pickup resistances for this guitar. Bridge pickup reads at the cable at 8.15K. The neck reads at the reading of the cable at 7.82K. If you add out of the guitar, they will probably read 0.125K to 0.15K higher. So if I factor 0.15K in for this would be a 7.97K neck pickup, and this would be an 8.3K bridge pickup. So just for your reference there. A lot of people don't realize that if they're measuring with it in the guitar, then it's going to be a different measurement out of the guitar. So that's something to factor in, I think, when if you're measuring vintage pickups in a guitar. It's good to keep that in mind. This has flat wound strings on it. I did not put them on here. For all I know, I mean, it seems unlikely, but these could be original to the guitar for all I know. And if you have not experienced flat wound strings in a guitar, it makes a difference.
When I talked to Jimmy Vivino before one of those Fab Faux shows in Ann Arbor, his Casino has flat wounds on it. So when he's doing the certain Beatles songs that need them, that require them, he has it ready to go.
It adds something, and if you have not experienced it before, it adds something. You're like, oh, I recognize that. The only downside I feel with it is that it's not as easy to grab on the strings for bends.
Yeah, I think the Day Tripper riff is with Flatwound, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you can just hear from that.
That's the tone. Because I remember trying to play that early on, learning that riff, I first started playing, and like, why doesn't that sound right?
Round one, you get a little crunch from the pick attack that you do not get with flatwound strings. Yeah. Okay, I'll play a little bit here, Matthew. You're not here to play bass. You could try to play on your Telecaster along there. Okay.
Well, I think it would be too hard, but I'll just enjoy listening to your.
Okay, I'll
your melodic riff.
What are the two? Let's see. Okay, I'll just go ahead here and I'll do the sort of the clean and dirty routine here for.
Or you could do some impromptu jazz on that.
I can't do that.
Yes, you can. Just play some of those. To some of those augmented chords, just slide those around. There you go. There you go.
Maybe I can do the. But how the hell do I do that? Yeah, I can't do that. Okay, all right. I'll just do the regular routine here. Now the middle. The deck. Bridge. Okay. I'll do some dirtier tones now here. I'll do maybe this works better without a bass player. I'll do. All right. Got lost there. Okay. All right. That's it, Matthew.
We got a 65 ES-330, right?
Yes.
For the 65th episode. It's a good way to celebrate it.
All right. You got to be here to play bass, Matthew. It takes the pressure off. The acapella thing. This thing is acoustically so lively. I'm sure it's coming in through the microphone. That is a cool thing about these. Let me just turn the the amp off here, but you know. It sounds, you know, you can play this on your couch. And, you know, it's a satisfying experience. Not the same as plugged in, but it's kind of like if you had one electric, this does kind of, it's its own bedroom amp.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We're going to do the lightning round Guitargument.
Right.
But let me put this guitar away. And should I just do the drum roll again? I won't have to bother with editing here. Matthew, you just fill the dead air that is me putting the guitar away with something totally fascinating. Okay, go ahead.
All right. Well, we're coming up on our next segment. We're going to do a lightning round of the Guitargument. And John has got the questions. He will choose those from a box of questions that he has right there.
Right here.
Here we go.
Right there. See that, everybody? We got this U-line cardboard bin of fascinating questions.
No expense.
Maybe one of these can be made into a clickbait title for this episode, and we can talk in depth about what this subject will be.
You want to start it up? I thought of one just
we'll do
when
5 minutes, but I mean, is it really? You know, we'll keep going. But
when I was listening to you playing there, I thought of one we could maybe.
Okay, well, go ahead.
Well, I was thinking, what is the greatest sort of summer guitar song?
Summer guitar song.
Is there
ain't no cure for the summertime blues? Isn't that it? For rock.
So Eddie Cochran,
yeah,
or the Who, but Eddie,
yeah,
both.
Okay, well, do you give me your
for a guitar that you're probably I can't
California
really
Girls.
Yeah, I was thinking of Beach Boys, like your California Surfing USA, or but I don't think there's as much guitar in it. Like
the Surfing USA, there is.
Oh no, not the one I'm thinking of. The one I'm thinking of was I'm trying to think. Is there guitar in it? Hot Town in the City.
Oh, dun, 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 dun.
It has the horns and stuff. Hot Town somewhere.
Yeah, the Lovin' Spoonful.
The Lovin' Spoonful.
I guess it's obviously a summer song, but yeah, it's not really a guitar song, is it? No.
It's kind of straight rock, Bryan Adams, Summer '69, but
yeah,
that's a good guitar song, isn't it? Got my first real 6-string, the 5 and dime.
I guess so, but you're not getting the 6-string of the 5 and dime in the Southern. Well, 69, I guess, maybe. Well, I mean, they had Benjamin Franklin and Woolworth.
Learned to play it until my fingers bled. I mean, that's every.
There were still dime stores. I remember. Did you ever have dime stores like near you?
No, I didn't know what they were. I was always kind of fascinated about them because my mother, was from Michigan and grew up in Ontario, but I didn't quite understand them. What exactly is a dime store?
You wouldn't find. This is the problem with that lyric is you would not find a real 6-string at a 5 and dime. You would find a plastic guitar.
Yeah.
A crappy plastic guitar that had nylon strings that a kid could act like they were playing guitar with.
Now, how would you? Maybe our parents could probably answer this question better. But how would you compare, say, the 5 and dime to like today's dollar store?
I guess the toys were about the same, cheapy sort of toys,
right?
But so my recollection is Woolworth and Ben Franklin.
Right.
And they kind of had, maybe they're sort of the same thing. They're organized differently. The Woolworth that I remember still had like a lunch counter and a soda fountain.
Right.
So that's different. But they did not. I think you get way more selection at like a dollar store now.
Yeah. Well, there's a Ben Franklin in the UP
sort of
in Manistee, Michigan. There's a Ben Franklin, but it has no real connection with if there's anything left of the Ben Franklin company.
Yeah.
But it just, they have the name on the awning outside, but they have nothing to do really. I don't know if Ben Franklin is still a going concern, but that. And then there's another one in the main drag of East Tawas, Michigan. But I didn't go into that store. I was there going by it a few weeks ago, but I didn't go inside.
Okay, so should I? I will go on to another question here, Matthew. Do guitar collections ever become too large? I think so. I think so too. It becomes a real estate problem, doesn't it?
It becomes a real estate problem.
Yeah. How many domino-sized boxes can you fit into one area? There's a limit.
Well, you need
dominoes.
The real thing you need a safety valve, and we've talked about, and I think some people mentioned this in our show. When we talk about rainbow music, we're not talking about rainbow music.
Yeah, we're not talking. This is
Arizona.
in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Yeah,
and rainbow music was our little safety valve because
you could
you would always come to an agreement on a consignment price that was reasonable, and things would turn over there quickly. And they offered very good consignment terms, so you could take it on trade, you could take it on cash, and you could move things pretty quickly. So you didn't really have to worry too much, and you could just, flip stuff.
Yeah, this is actually so the too large of guitar collection. I've kind of hit that. I don't have anywhere to put them anymore. So I think the logical conclusion of this is or progression is that you have higher quality and fewer instruments, but of higher quality, higher caliber, either in terms of collecting or dollar value or whatever. So you kind of weed out I think that's how most people do it. That's how I'm thinking I'm going to have to do it. You get the stuff that maybe this one may be very nice, but doesn't really have a super sort of like sentimental attachment to you. And then you kind of cash in those chips for one that's a little nicer. It's kind of speaking to this. I think Joe Bonamassa has gotten. I think I saw him like in an Instagram post. Mm-hmm. He's gotten another burst that I think he calls the Mexican or something. I guess it's. I don't know the story. I'm assuming it's something that, like it lived in Mexico for part of its life, or perhaps it was sold there originally. Not sure, but there's someone with a big guitar collection. Is it more? Is it too much for like? I don't know what's the limit. He's going to know. If anyone knows, it's him.
Has that question been put to him? Has he answered that question?
Oh, you have to believe it. There's got to be.
He's thinking about
it. Hasn't he almost said that like his mother is questioned? Kind of like, is this too many? But. Yeah. He's got a very good argument for having a very good guitar collection. You get to play them on stage. You get known for them as sort of like like you go to the show to see the cool stuff he's playing. Partly,
and he must store stuff.
Part of the show.
He must store stuff in Europe, obviously, because he's on the road so much. He must have things that he just stores and uses when he's over there.
Yeah. And two, for him, there's value in he probably adds value to the guitar by mere fact of him being the owner. If it's something he's going to, take out of the collection at some point, does it have more value because it was something that was played for a while by Joe Bonamassa? And the answer is probably yes. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah.
So there's There adds some value to it, as long as he's not signing them.
Well, he's signing, but it doesn't. Didn't you say he has a? I'm sure with some of them,
sign right across the front of it, all those bursts with a Sharpie.
With a Sharpie,
just so everybody knows they're his.
But doesn't he have a habit of?
Ted Nugent does that with a wood burner tool.
A wood burner,
yeah, in the back.
Just tired of people stealing stuff.
That's actually was his reasoning. I guess it's as good as any, really. You know, if you're getting guitars stolen, that's a good way to probably track them down.
But doesn't Joe Bonamassa, doesn't he refret them, even the vintage ones, to like a larger fret?
Actually, when Alan Hines was here, he actually mentioned that he was going to get his Esquire refretted at, I forget the name of the guy. He's some guy, I think in Georgia or somewhere, that Joe Bonamassa had actually had a very good experience having refrets done. I don't remember his name, but he mentioned that like he was thinking of sending his guitar there when it needed a refret. It asked if I had heard of this guy that does refrets, but he got the name from Joe Bonamassa. Yeah, that is part of it too. If you're Joe Bonamassa, you know, he's got to make a judgment, doesn't he? Am I going to set this guitar up to play well for me? I like these frets, or am I going to keep this guitar as original as possible as sort of a way to keep it in its vintage state for collector purposes?
Yeah, I could imagine if he's being handed a new guitar and he's on stage, it has to feel comfortable. It has to be able to do a job. So,
well, that's the other. You know, that's almost a strategy too. If you know, for collecting guitars, let's say you have. Well, this is a strategy I've used. You have a. Let's say you've at critical mass with your guitar collection. What do you do if you want to satisfy the urge for another guitar? You fix up, this works, you fix up one of the guitars that maybe is in need of a little help. That could be a refret. Maybe refretting is also sort of a, to quench that thirst for another guitar. I'll make this one more super playable. That'll satisfy me for a few days. maybe us, it might be like a year. Joe Bonamassa, I don't know, a week, 2, whatever. But that is a strategy, right?
Yeah.
You know, kind of fix up what you already have.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you have an opinion on that? Can you have too big of a guitar collection?
You know, I think you can.
It's much harder than having too big of a car collection. Years ago, have you ever met anybody with a really big car collection?
No. I've maybe a few cars. I think that's most guys that I know they that have cars. I'm tending to think probably the most has about 3, maybe 4.
Yeah, I have experienced that once. Someone had a very large personal car collection. Years and years ago when I started doing photography, an attorney locally called me up to photograph. I probably mentioned this before. Photograph serial numbers on engine blocks. And the purpose of, so I went to this large, purpose-built, very large purpose-built pole building out in the country here that a very wealthy businessman had his car collection in. And I think that the purpose of me photographing the engine blocks, serial numbers, was to confirm for the IRS that all of his cars were collectible, and that part of this process was he had to I think match up the serial numbers with his collection. I'm not sure how the IRS plays in that, although I know collectibles have a different status if you're doing estate planning as far as an asset. So I think there's sort of artwork collectibles have sort of the status of for estate planning of property like real estate or land for purposes of inheritance tax. So I assume it has something to do with that. But he had so many cars that he had a purpose-built sort of trolley forklift hydraulic thing that he would just put under the axle, put the car in neutral, put it under the axle, and you could wheel it around the car around the place. And he had a lot of cars. And I get the problem with that becomes, the car, if it's not driven, guitar, if it's not played, the truss rod's going to go out of adjustment. Strings are going to get rotten. Frets are going to start getting tarnished. The metal parts are going to get, these are things that you kind of have to pay attention to. But the car, it's like you got to drive it because the seals will start cracking because they have to kind of have oil on them to, so seals and axles and oil pans and transmissions will start cracking. So if you've got so many cars that you can't actually drive them in any sort of regular interval, you've got a problem. There's not just the fact of storing them. Okay.
You need a mechanic to take care of them.
I think that's the subject maybe. The guitar, can you have too big of a guitar collection? Yeah. You think? Let's go with that. Okay, Matthew, we incorporated the cool down into that, and we're going to go on to Rorschach riffs. This is my turn.
Your turn to shine. Your turn to shine now, John.
I'm put in this mild state of panic now when I have to do this. I sympathize, Matthew, with your weekly trials and tribulations when it comes to Rorschach riffage. So these have a little bit of theme, Matthew.
Okay.
So you start talking. I'm gonna just go. I'm gonna mute my microphone so I can go through this without you seeing, and hopefully I won't flub these up too much. But so go say something interesting for a few seconds.
I'll try to explain the Rorschach riffs for people who don't. No, I can hear that, John. Here, I'll take my headphones off.
Can you actually hear that?
I can hear that. I'll take my headphones off. Do you want me to take them off?
Hold on.
Here, now I can't. I'll take my headphones off. So I can't hear you now.
Hold on. Wait, now.
Here, I've got them off, so I can't hear. You can just practice.
All right.
So Rorschach riffs, for everybody who doesn't know, we're going to do 4 riffs. John will do them in quick succession. You can play at home. Try to guess them. What are they? Today's Rorschach riff has a theme.
I think
I don't quite know what the theme is, but we'll find that out in a second. Coming back.
Put the headphones back in. Okay. I think
now
what do you want to?
Okay, ready? So I'll figure out the theme as we go. Is that the idea?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. Let me get to the. Oh, wait a minute. That's set up for you. You're gone. Okay. I'll have to use this camera. Okay. Okay. Here's the first one, Matthew.
Okay.
Oh, you know what? That should be clean.
Okay.
You want to hear it again?
Sure.
No, I'll go to the next one.
Go to the next one, then we'll try to get the theme.
Oh, shoot away.
Okay.
All right. This is the third one.
Third one. Okay.
And the last one is.
Okay.
Can you get the theme?
The theme is Australian pop songs or rock songs.
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. Now the first one, I think there's
a connection between the first one and the last one.
Oh, there's a connection? Okay.
Between the first one and the last one.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, so play the first one again.
Okay. Wait a minute. Let me start.
That's not ringing a bell. But if there's a theme between the two of them, it's the same band? Is that what you're trying to say? Between the first?
No.
Oh, it's not the same band?
Not the same band.
Between the first and the fourth one, I mean.
The first and the last one, not the same band.
Not the same band.
No, but the producer, there's a connection between the producer of the last band's, I think this is right, last band's first albums and this song. Okay, yeah, we'll go on to the next one.
Go on to the next one again. Okay, that's just two.
Okay, and last one.
That's good, actually. That's a good riff. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, you could also do. Let's see. That's from the same song, I believe.
Okay.
Okay, and then.
Okay. All right. Okay. The first song I am having trouble with, but I.
Okay, well, I'll give you a hint.
Give me a little hint or a little more.
The brother, it's this. I think the guy playing the guitar is the brother of the guy playing the guitar. The two playing the guitar in the fourth one.
Okay, now play it again. Now I know you're. Oh. So is this the pop song? Like what? So we're talking about the Young brothers here. We're talking about George Young.
Is that the first name? I don't remember. You're probably right. The oldest.
I think it's George.
He's the older.
Yeah, and then he became a producer of some of the early AC/DC stuff.
Yes,
but
he was in a pop group that had a hit.
He was in a pop band, and I think they arrived from Scotland in Australia, and then the brother had a pop song very quickly.
Yes.
Is it George? I know that darn song.
Jazzy. There's a kind of a jazzy riff that follows that I don't know.
I was like, oh, I remember reading about that and then going, oh, I know that song, but okay. I couldn't tell you the name of the song.
Okay, you want me to tell you?
Sure.
It's Friday on My Mind by the Easy Beats.
Easy Beats. That's the record.
Okay, now what's the second one here?
This is Men at Work, Down Under.
Yes. Alan Hines,
playing
for Colin Hayes.
Written by Colin Hay and the saxophone player.
Yesterday is Wednesday. We're recording this Thursday. Let's see. Okay.
And then the third one rather is In Excess. Is it Suicide Blonde or is it?
I Need You Tonight.
Need Tonight. Okay, it's Need You Tonight. You're playing that. It's very.
That part I'm not getting the picking right. That's better. I'm probably not doing close enough to the picture.
I saw a version of In Excess without Michael Hutchins. It was like Simple Minds and In Excess and a double bill. I really wanted to see Simple Minds. Simple Minds was okay at that show, but In Excess, like every song was like hit. It was like holy middle. And you followed them. I bought that record when it came out. Is that from the Listen Like Thieves record?
I don't know. I don't know.
I think it might be, but they had a lot of hits. That band. They would have been huge. They were huge before Michael Hutchins died, but they missed some opportunities. And then the fourth one is AC/DC TNT.
That's correct.
Is that correct?
Oi.
TNT. Which is
all right.
Now that was produced by what's his name?
The brother?
Mutt Jeff. No,
what's that?
Yeah, I think the TNT record. Oh, what was it?
I'm not so sure about that.
No, I don't think his first record. The Mutt Lang produced the Highway to Hell album.
Yeah, that was the first one.
The Highway to Hell, Back and Back, and then Those Butter Rock. Yeah, that one. I'm not sure who did that one.
Okay, so. Oh, by the way, here I'm playing the lovely Heritage H150 with that we played last week. This has our reference set Lucky 7 pickups in it with the long A2 version I'm playing here. And should we go on, Matthew, to your musical? Do you have musical musings all the way over there in Canada?
I have a special Canadian edition of Matthew's musical musings.
Oh my goodness!
So,
all right, well, let's hear it.
Okay, so are we ready to go? So this weekend,
yes, it's going right along here.
Okay, so this is a down Remembrance Road, but this is the start tonight, or rather, by the show time this episode airs, the first night will already have happened. But weekend is the whole Rush's homecoming into Toronto with their 50-something tour. So are you
going to be there for it?
Well, my brother is. I'm planning to see them at the end of the month in Detroit with my daughter Bridget.
That's right.
But my older brother Mark, who kind of introduced me to Rush, he was a big fan. I guess he had the 2112 record, but his first time seeing them was seeing them on the Farewell to Kings tour in 1977. They played at Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto in December of 77, and he was 16, and he went to that concert. And he told me, I asked him, I said, how much did you pay for the tickets? And he said the tickets for greens, because Maple Leaf Gardens had various levels. They were like gold tickets were the best tickets, and then there were blues and reds. He had greens, which I can't remember exactly, but they were sort of a mid-level. They weren't the best, but he paid $8.50 to see them in 1977.
Wow.
And then, but they're going to play 4 dates starting on the August 7th, 9th, 11th, 13th. And then they announced yesterday that all of these shows will be recorded and filmed for an upcoming release that'll happen, I guess, probably by Christmas or into 2027 maybe.
Now, what's your recollection of what an album used to cost then?
Well,
it's like $5?
Yeah, I think
my recollection is my recollection is there's $5 to $6, and that the exception to this was Led Zeppelin albums were like $8. They were always priced a little more.
Really?
Do you remember? Yeah, I remember this distinctly. I'm pretty sure. Someone else can confirm this, but my siblings would buy them, and they kind of have to. You kind of have. Isn't Led Zeppelin kind of credited with being really, kind of figuring out how to sell an album rather than singles? Did they not release singles as far as like 45s?
Yeah, they never did.
Yeah, I think they didn't, and
correct.
I think you had to buy the album, and I think they were a little more. I think they were $1 or $2 more than what most people sold them for. They must have really been raking in the money, because think about it: all the hits they had, and you had to purchase the entire album LP, and then they were charging more for them.
Well, do you remember too? Do you remember that Tom Petty had that famous cover photo on the cover of Rolling Stone where he's tearing a $10 or a $1 bill because he had a fight with the record company over what they wanted to charge, and he didn't he sort of became, the
Yeah.
Every man's hero by sort of standing up and saying, no, I don't want to be charging that much for the record. But yeah, Led Zeppelin, you're right. They did not release singles. They were just they had to buy the record.
My recollection is too that my siblings would be kind of like complaining about that it was like $1 or $2 more for a Led Zeppelin album, but they'd have to get it.
So I go ahead.
I wonder if someone can confirm if I'm right about that. Them soaking people a little bit on price, Led Zeppelin, for an album. I think that's right though. All right, go ahead.
So my brother said I said the first time he saw them in December of 77, he paid $850 for I guess a mid-level ticket. He told me this time he's going to be 12th row center, 12th row center on the floor, and he's paid just under $1,000.
Oh my gosh.
So I assume that was
listen, if anyone's there and they want to meet Matthew Quayle, the famous YouTuber Matthew Quayle's brother,
he'll be there.
That's where he'll be. 12th row center. Is that right?
12th row center.
Okay.
He'll be right there. I won't be there.
Let's find out if tell your brother to tell us if anybody comes up to him and says, "Hey, saw your brother in the podcast."
There you go. So he's spending more than when I see them in Detroit. I'm in. It's a lower bowl, but it's kind of near the back.
So it's that's $1,000 Canadian dollars.
1,000 Canadian.
So it's like $700 US. Is that right? Is it like 71 to $1 or something like that?
I think probably. Yeah, I'm sure there's probably a service fee. That's all in, but probably.
Well, the exchange rate. Right. Yeah, I think I checked it recently. You know why I checked it? I was debating whether or not I should have you buy me a lens while you're in Canada there.
Well, was that recently?
No, this is just like yesterday.
Oh,
I'm realizing that I don't, despite my years of being a professional photographer, I don't really have a good still camera, to roam around and photograph stuff here. Mm-hmm. Other than my cell phone, which is actually remarkably good, an iPhone is. But I thought then, we use these Canon, what are they called? RV something or others for this. And I thought, I could get one more. They'll do still camera too, but you got to get a lens for it. But it wasn't, they figured out the exchange rate enough that it's not that much of a savings if I have you get me one. There was some other piece of gear too, I was thinking.
Well, the other thing I was thinking I've got to probably do it tomorrow is make a trip up to one of the Long and McQuaid music stores here in Canada and then get some fodder for another musing.
Does your brother check out see if they have Silverface Fender amps? Like Deluxe Reverb, Princeton Reverbs. If they do, just photograph the prices. I'm curious if
you're talking about it. You're talking about the real thing, like a vintage.
Yeah. If you see sort of old amps like that, I'm curious. There seems to be a little bit of a. If you really watch Guitar Center, you can get some deals. So I'm curious to know, in Canada. Is it a better exchange rate, or is it it's a little less common to find up there? So maybe they sell for a premium. I don't know.
I did a little search online, and I was kind of finding that on a couple of things. I was thinking, I think this stuff is more expensive here. They're asking more money for it because I think it's not as
available.
It's harder to find. Yeah, it's not as available. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that'd be interesting to see. Okay, is that it for your musings, Matthew?
That's it. That's it for my musings.
We've not hit the record time frame for this one.
We have or we haven't?
We haven't. No, we're at an hour, 14 minutes or so.
Okay, that's about normal.
Let's do the official outro graphic there. Okay. Have we missed anything, Matthew?
I don't think so.
You'll be here next week. It's a plan, right?
That's a plan. I hope to be back by Sunday, the latest.
Maybe we'll have Paul on the show next week. People have asked about that.
People are asking if they want to see Paul.
But we,
Paul is.
In theory, summer is slower for us. In practice, it doesn't always work that way, but
it starts to get busy and all. I think if you talk to Paul,
now.
It gets a little busier, and then suddenly you're into the fourth quarter and the home stretch of the year.
Okay, Matthew. I wonder if viewers have noticed the improved audio quality with your. We have purchased a mobile mic for you and an entire complete mobile studio.
I can take it anywhere.
You describe the studio right there. You're in. What kind of luxurious table are you on? Is this?
I'm on a vintage. I would say this is probably from the 19. This is a real vintage, probably 1960s ironing board.
Okay.
It's got this very sort of nice blue teal paint. And
actually, I saw my mom has an ironing board with the same color paint on it.
Yeah.
Although it's different leg arrangement than that. That's got like 4 legs or something, doesn't it? Or it's sort of like
yeah, it's a bit of a funky kind of setup, but they're very thin too. It's a very
one my mom had the same color paint, but it had like 2 beams and like a T-shaped thing at the end. Pretty heavy duty.
Yeah, I've seen that one too. My mom had one of those too.
Yeah, my wife bought an ironing board the other day, and it was just so disappointing compared to the old ones. The little feet on them broke off. They were little plastic feet that just snapped right off the thing.
They don't make them like they used to.
Except for ThroBak pickups. We do.
That's true.
Everyone knows that. Okay.
All right.
Thank you all for watching.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.